Hey, this is Antonio. Welcome back to my channel. Now, who's ready for some fighting words? In this video, I want to do a prediction for AJ versus Oleksandr Usyk. So without further ado, let's just jump on into this. You know how I do it. I like to compare both guys side by side, and I just kind of do a tally up in the end, and whoever has more points in the end, that's the guy that I'm picking. Try to make it as fair and even as possible. So without further ado, let's jump into this. Speed. I think it's obvious who's faster. Usyk, he's coming from cruiserweight, and he's just a smaller guy naturally. So, I'm just going to go with him for speed. AJ is a fast fighter. He actually is pretty fast, especially for a heavyweight. But obviously, between the two guys, it's definitely Oleksandr Usyk. And you can look at that from the first fight, where, in the time that AJ could throw one punch, Usyk threw like 3 punches. So now, granted, that is because it's AJ and he loads up on everything. And if he's just a little bit more fluid, I feel like maybe he could even at speed, out between the two. But he is who he is, and he's the type of fighter that he is. So it's definitely going to be Usyk. Let's go into power. Now, I think it's obvious Oleksandr Usyk is not known for his power. He's not known to be knocking people out left and right. However, AJ is. Anthony Joshua is definitely known for power. He's definitely known to take people out, and he is a devastating finisher. And honestly, in the first fight, he did tag Usyk. So my only critique. That's funny. One of my major critiques of the first fight is that AJ didn't follow up. He just didn't follow up. And he didn't use his size, and he didn't muscle his way in with Usyk. And I felt like if he would have done that, I actually think he could have been successful against Usyk, because it's not exactly the hardest thing in the world to hit Usyk. It's really not. He can be hit, and he has been hit by lesser opponents than Anthony Joshua. So, yes, I definitely give Alexander. I definitely give AJ the point for power. But my question is, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to follow it up this time? And that's my main thing. And I feel like if he were to follow it up, I think that could be a game changer in their rematch. Experience, obviously, now it's Oleksandr Usyk. I mean, he's got like well over 300 fights or something like that. 390 something or 370 something, I believe. But either way, it's in the threes. It's in 300s. It doesn't really matter. He's got a lot of fights. So obviously, when it comes to experience, there's nothing new under the sun, and there's nothing that AJ is going to present to Oleksandr Usyk that will have him quaking or shaking in his boots. He's seen it before, and he's dealt with it, and he's got a lot of wins with every style. So I'm pretty sure, that in terms between the two, AJ is a novice to Usyk. So there's nothing that he can show Usyk that would make him say, oh, I wasn't prepared for that. He definitely was. However, AJ hit the ground running, as he burst onto the scene. So he's no slouch either. But clearly, there's zero comparison. I mean, when we want to talk about, their accolades, there's just no comparison. Or we want to talk about their record. There's literally no comparison. Adaptability. Obviously, again, we're talking about Oleksandr Usyk. Adaptability. He's literally fought every style there is, and he's fought a ton of Brits, so this Brit is definitely not going to be any different, and he's already fought this Brit before. So overall, yes, AJ has a new trainer, but overall, he knows what AJ is going to bring to the table, and what AJ is able to bring to the table. That's more importantly, because we know what we want to do. The question is, can we implement what we envision up here? That's the question, and that's where Oleksandr Usyk comes in. He can stop that. He can just make it a vision. He can just make it a dream. He can just make it a thought. As opposed to a reality. Heart. Now this one, I'm just gonna give both of them a tie. Obviously, anybody who's had over 300 fights has a lot of heart. You know what I'm saying? Because this is truly a devotion, truly a passion. So clearly, Oleksandr Usyk has a ton of heart. AJ has been down a few times and he's lost before. So for him to continue and get back up, of course, we all think about, when he fought Vladimir Klitschko and he gets off the canvas and he still wins the fight. So AJ has a lot of heart. I feel like if that AJ shows up, because he definitely has a championship spirit, It's just, I feel like over time and, maybe the hype train, it's gone away. And it's not as, that fire is not burning the way it once did. And if we can get that back, if that hunger can come back, that's also a game changer in regards to Anthony Joshua. So, yeah, when it comes to heart, they both have it. So that's a tie. Strength. Clearly, again, we're going to Anthony Joshua. He's much bigger. He's much stronger than Oleksandr Usyk. There were points in the first fight where Usyk pushed, AJ back. I don't really know why AJ allowed that, but he did. Physically, I know he could have stopped that, but for some reason he allowed that. And I think it's just the overall mystique of Usyk. I don't feel like it's him physically. I really don't. I don't know why AJ wouldn't be more assertive in the first fight. And again, speaking of game changers, I think if he comes into this rematch more assertive and plants himself and walks Usyk down, I think that is a huge game changer. Usyk is not as strong as Anthony Joshua. He's not as powerful as Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua has more presence, and he needs to present his presence and walk Usyk down. So clearly, strength goes Anthony Joshua. Ring IQ. Now, again, I already talked about Usyk's experience. So ring IQ, again, dude's a wizard, period. He's a supersized version of Lomachenko. It is what it is, people. The dude's amazing. And sadly, Usyk does not get the credit that he deserves, and he should. And it's amazing that Lomachenko gets the respect and the credit that he deserves, and Usyk doesn't get anything. And I don't know how that is, because he's just as, honestly, he has all the same accolades. Actually, he has more. He doesn't have professional losses. He has more. So I really don't understand why he doesn't get the same amount of respect. Now, granted, a lot of the names that he's fought over here in the North, a lot of people don't know them, and that just could simply be it. But overall, when we talk about rap sheets, Usyk is the man. Whether you like it or not, he's the man. We got to call a spade, and Usyk is the man on paper, period. Game plan. So when it comes to Usyk, I think he's a free thinker. I think he's somebody who can think in the moment. I don't think he's the type of guy who needs a game plan. I think he's the type of guy who needs to fill somebody out for about 1 or 2 rounds, and then, he can mix it up. He can throw out his little gumbo pot of punches and things like that. But again, when you talk about somebody who has that much experience, does he really need a game plan? Not really. But I think he's definitely somebody who could implement a game plan. I'm not saying that he can't, like if they were to set up a strategy for Anthony Joshua, and without sounding like I'm being disrespectful to Anthony Joshua, I'm sorry, somebody like Usyk doesn't necessarily need to make out a game plan for Anthony Joshua. Okay, in comparison, Anthony Joshua is very, 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 one more very green, period. Anthony Joshua, on the other hand, has shown that he can implement a game plan. Was it the most beautiful, amazing rematch with Andy Ruiz, the second one? No, it wasn't. But there was a game plan, and the overall game plan was win on points, be safe, keep your distance, keep moving, stay immobile, use the entire ring, and use a consistent jab. And it worked. It worked beautifully. He boxed beautifully. I'm not knocking his boxing. His boxing was beautiful in that fight. But when you look at a guy that size, especially when we look at a heavyweight matchup, what do you want to see? I'm sorry, if I'm looking at a guy 250 plus, I want to see a knockout. That's just what I want to see. And I think I'm speaking on behalf of all of you as well. I want to see a knockout. So, but to prove game plan, yes, he can definitely implement a game plan. If you give Anthony Joshua, who is a true athlete at heart, I don't care what I believe if Anthony Joshua would have burst on the scene and said, I'm going to do rugby, and started doing rugby at 17, 18 years old, I think he would still be just as big a superstar as he is now in boxing. I think he's just that much of an athlete. So when you give him a game plan, he not only can see it through, he can implement that thing from round to round and stay the course, stay composed, and stay on target with what he was taught to do in the gym. So either way, I mean, again, that's pretty much a tie for the game plan. Now, I have another segment for this, and it's actually, before I jump into that, I want to talk about the arsenals. When you put the two arsenals side by side, who has more of an arsenal? Again, we're talking about Oleksandr Usyk. This dude has every punch there is. This dude can do every punch, or swing every punch there is. He has great footwork. He knows how to set traps. He can fight backing up. When I say arsenal, he's the full package. And I know a lot of people, tend to get mad at me for saying that, but he is the full package. I'm sorry, dude's the full package. I've seen him throw every punch, and he's consistent. He's not like one guy who's going to throw 90 punches this round. He's going to throw 2 punches this round and then pick it back up in the 10th round because now it's getting a little close. He's not that guy. He's going to be consistent throughout the entire fight. He's going to be moving throughout the entire fight. He's going to give you different looks throughout the entire fight. And then you have AJ, who has a beautiful jab. AJ has an amazing jab. AJ, especially when he's moving forward, is quite a force to be reckoned with. And that's why I think, honestly, for me, I think that's the reason why I still believe in what AJ can become. Because in terms of the basics and the foundation, his foundation and his basics are so good that when he's 100% turned on, I don't think there's any heavyweight that can beat him. And I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for that, but it's true. I've been saying since day one, AJ can beat Tyson Fury. I've been saying that since day one. You can check my old videos when I said Tyson Fury was going to beat Deontay Wilder when everybody laughed at me. But AJ, I actually think to beat Tyson Fury, it doesn't take all these special effects. I just think it takes a great foundation, a solid jab, and a guy who's big enough and strong enough to move forward and outmuscle Tyson Fury. And I think AJ has that. I really do. I think he has that. And that's that. Now, the segment that I want to jump into. What's different this fight in comparison to the first fight that they fought? Well, I think everybody's probably going to scream out, oh, it's AJ's trainer. And that's true. AJ does have a new trainer. But, and he's had, I feel enough time to work on something in terms of a game plan. But I feel like when it comes to a trainer, you do need time under your belt. And I mean true time. Like maybe a lesser fight before this fight, and then, you go back for the gold and glory with Usyk. Unfortunately, AJ doesn't have that. So, yes, the trainer could be a help to him, and I think he will. I don't think AJ is an uncalculated man. I think he's a very calculated guy. And if this is what he's chose to do, then I think collectively, him and his team, they think this is the right way to go, and this is going to lead to success. But for me, I actually think the biggest difference in this fight is Oleksandr Usyk's size. He's gotten a lot bigger for this fight. Now the question is, how is he going to move with that size? That's the question. What about his punching power with that size? That's the question. We already know what he can do. He can do everything. The question is, can he throw as many punches as he normally throws every round with more size? I don't know. Will he tire out early? I don't know. Will he, instead of being able to do 12 rounds easy, is he going to get a little tired at 8? I don't know. We're going to have to figure that out. That is a huge question mark and a mystery at this point. There is one more thing that is actually, I feel like, a game changer. Is it just me, but I feel like Usyk is basking in this promotion. I mean, he's just like bathing in it. Like, he's singing, he's dancing, he's got outfits, he's playing with the crowd, and AJ is just being AJ because he's AJ, and he doesn't necessarily have to do a whole lot to make people happy. All he's got to do is show up. AJ's got a presence, but Usyk is just a personality. One of my gripes with Usyk is I wish Usyk spoke English, because I feel like he is an amazing personality, and that's him not speaking English. Imagine if he spoke English, and I mean fluently spoke English. I think we would get some amazing interviews, and I think we would get some amazing press conferences. And I really think, he would get more recognized. But I just feel like he's really basking in this rematch. And it's funny, but I feel like Usyk is acting like he's a challenger. Like maybe it was a fluke, or, AJ was supposed to beat me, or whatever the case may be. So I feel like he still has the hunger, the desire, and the fire of the first fight for the second fight. And that can be dangerous for Anthony Joshua. So overall, now that I'm done and I've gone through this list, who am I picking for the fight? Well, I mean, honestly, I'm gonna have to go with Oleksandr Usyk. Listen, he won the first one, and he's bigger now. He's bigger now, so he may not have to run away from Anthony Joshua. Maybe he can muscle back. Maybe it's a lot harder. Anthony got slimmer, and I don't think that was a smart thing for him to do. I really don't think slim Anthony Joshua, I don't think is the way to go. I really don't. I think big Anthony Joshua is the way to go. Sugar Hill said, when it came to Tyson Fury, I'm gonna get him as big as possible. And he's a heavyweight. Why are you slimming Anthony Joshua down? Me personally, that's what I feel. I feel like slimming Anthony Joshua down is not a help but a hindrance. I really do. He can still box just as much and be big. Period. He can still box just as... Look at Jarrell Miller. That dude's like 300 and some pounds. And that dude, granted, he was injecting himself with kryptonite and Captain America super serum and all that stuff. But he's still a big guy. Tyson Fury is 270 plus. And he can throw out all these punches. AJ could definitely throw out a lot of punches or definitely be effective and learn boxing while being big. I don't think the way to go when it comes to Anthony Joshua is to slim him up. And you have him getting slimmer and you have Oleksandr Usyk getting bigger. I don't think that's going to play out well. I really don't. Oleksandr Usyk did not lose his skills. He didn't. I feel like he's still hungry. I feel like he thinks that first fight was a fluke in our eyes, the fans. And I think he wants to put on a show. I really do. I think he wants to put on a show. I think he wants to firmly submit himself. I am the unified heavyweight champion of the world. Whether you like it or not, I'm here. Period. And with that mentality, you know what? I haven't seen much of a difference in Anthony Joshua. I really haven't. And that's just the thing about AJ. There was a point in time where he had a fire and he was like, I'm going to do it and I'm going to beat you and you can't beat me. And now it's just like, I'm confident. We're going to see. And I don't think champions should think like that. I don't even think champions should talk like that. One thing I'm always going to pride Adrian Broner on is no matter how many times he loses, his next fight, he's like, I'm the man and I'm going to knock him out. And da-da-da-da-da. He believes in himself, full force. Amir Khan, he can get knocked out and come back like, I'm the man and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. It's a mind thing. You have to have that. Yes, you train every day, but you also have to have the mindset of a warrior, of a champion every single day. And you can't let that slip away from you. Especially when you're fighting somebody as experienced and dangerous as Oleksandr Usyk, who's still riding high on the fact that he beat you and he's the unified heavyweight champion of the world. So with that being said, I'm definitely going with Oleksandr Usyk. It's going to be a unanimous decision. I think that. I don't necessarily think it's going to be a knockout. It could be because AJ is a little chinny, but I don't think Usyk's going to put himself in harm's way that way. But you know what? I could be wrong. He might, because that could be the reason why he put the weight on, is so that he could put himself in harm's way and get a knockout. So that all the people who are saying this could be a fluke isn't. So I'm going to change that to either a unanimous decision or a technical knockout, TKO. There you have it. Those are my thoughts. Drop your thoughts down below. Tell me what you think. And what do you think? You think what I'm thinking? You think it's going to be Oleksandr Usyk with a unanimous decision or a technical knockout? Or do you think it's going to be AJ? And if you do think it's going to be AJ, how do you think he's going to win? Drop your thoughts down below. I'd love to hear what